8-track. What a brilliant invention. Or perhaps not, eh? And of course, when your 8-track went wrong, as it inevitably would, you just had to throw it away. But I know a bloke who even today can fix your 8-track for you. And for him, this is the cutting edge of in-car entertainment.
It's that man again.
It's time for two-way family favorite.
So if you want listening, that's easy on the ear.
Oh yeah,
Hello, Steve.
I've got a problem.
Well, let's see if we can help you with it.
It keeps trying to eat the cassettes.
Well,
But then they all did that, didn't they?
They did, I'm afraid, and you're left with that sort of mess. Which will...
8-track, a footnote in the history of in-car entertainment.
Yeah.
Well, where did it start?
Well, car radio started really by people taking their household radio out in the car.
Out in the car?
Yeah.
Radios like these?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. These are battery sets, late 20s, early 30s.
So people would take one of these, presuming they could lift it,
Yeah.
out in the car with them. I don't think I'd like to bump along a cobble street with one of these on my lap.
Well, you weren't quite up to that stage. It's a question of taking the radio to wherever you were going, setting it up there and enjoying the radio there.
So it was strictly a static experience?
It was, because you needed big batteries with it and quite a big aerial.
So it's not a car radio, it's just a radio that was lugged around by a car?
It is indeed, yeah.
On the air, if you have a little time to spare, you'll enjoy each minute, I'll declare, while we're on the air. You can see...
This was one of the sort of first proper car radios.
Oh, blimey. An American Bosch. So even though it says Bosch, it was made in America?
It was American. That's the birthplace of car radio, really.
Would something like this have been very costly?
Yeah, in the UK that would have cost you about £20, where cheap cars were only £100, so it's an expensive item.
Can I put it down now?
Yeah, please do.
Thank God for that. What happened next?
Well, after the war, this sort of thing came along, which is the first Radiomobile radio ever made.
A British or an American?
British made, also made under the name His Master's Voice. Splendid radio, and consequently standard fitting in the Rolls and Bentleys of the day.
But what are all these buttons here for? SP and MU?
Well, that's quite a crude tone control. SP is speech and MU is music.
That must have been quite a gadget to have.
Yeah, it was a
in the
nice thing to
40s.
have, very unusual.
What about the 50s?
Well, I'm working on a 50s radio here now.
They were great, weren't they? It was a time when radios looked like cars.
Yeah, rather splendid looking things. This is actually an American one called the Wunderbar.
Wunderbar? What was so wunderbar about it?
Well, it was actually a cell seeker. It sought out the stations for you by operating this press bar here.
We're still with good old valves here, aren't
Oh
we?
yes, yeah. Got a nice row of valves along the back of this set here. By the early 60s, all transistor sets were here, and you'd get some sets like this one, for instance.
It's a pull-out?
It is a pull-out, yeah.
It must be the first pull-out car radio.
Yeah.
When's it from?
About 62, something like that. You could operate it as a picnic set with its own battery in it.
The ever-ready Sky Tourer.
Lovely, yeah.
And the batteries have leaked.
And as they always did.
What a surprise.
Yeah. Probably the finest of all these novelty items was the in-car record player.
You've got to be kidding.
No.
Riding along in my automobile.
Yes, that's what he said, the in-car record player. Most of them were made by RCA or Philips and appealed to the jukebox generation who wanted to take their newfangled 45s along for the ride. They were bulky, spring-loaded contraptions that weighed as much as a Mini Cooper. Oh, and the needle applied enough pressure to inscribe marble. So some people preferred to preserve their precious Elvis records and play something a bit more disposable.
That's great, but who brings you this stuff? Where does it come from?
Classic car enthusiasts all over the world, really, I'm happy to say, yeah. People restoring sports cars, upper end of the market cars generally. They were the ones fitted with the radios.
I love this one here. It's just pure rock and roll,
Yeah,
isn't
absolutely.
it? It's like a tiny Wurlitzer.
Yeah. It's out of a Corvette.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it looks the business.
Which is your favourite?
Well, I have a soft spot for the big Radiomobile, but I do like these German sets like this.
The Becker Grand Prix,
Yeah.
very 60s looking. This
Yeah,
one.
early 60s, fitted in Mercedes.
Yes, it is rather splendid, but why is it that the Germans can make such wonderful hi-fi equipment and such dreadful music?
Well, I know a lot about radios, but I can't answer that question, I'm afraid, Steve.
Where's the cut-off point? Where do you stop?
1975. There's no romance in microchips and modern stuff for me. I like the old gear.
Around the time of my 8-track.
Indeed, yeah. And I think your 8-track is probably just the tape that was wrong, so there's an old one that I have in stock. God only knows what's on it, but you're welcome to have it. But,
Well, anything's better than nothing.
great.
Bye now.
Thank you.